Hey everybody, George Fennell, Steel Shield Technologies, Weapon Shield. I'm here today to do one more video, and what it involves is Weapon Shield and what makes it special, why it is better than the other products. And what we're going to do is do a little bit of a test to show you how it compares to a couple of standards. This is what's called the Falex lubrication machine. It's a portable machine that's been around for about 70 years. It is the portable version of the ASTM testing, which is the American Standard for Testing Materials, D-2509, which is the Timken OK load. It performs in a very analogous manner. What it's comprised of and what it's made up is that we have a race that rotates on a shaft being driven by a 1/4 horse motor, and it rotates this on a pulley system. It's 1625 RPM, roughly reduced down to a boundary condition of about 800 RPM. So you're getting about 800 revolutions per minute on here, and it spins. What we have is a Timken race that's attached to this shaft. Give you a That's the race. Now, this is a Rockwell hardness that's much harder than this, which is the bearing. And we take a tapered roller bearing, which here's one right outside of it. This is in its containment. This will unscrew and we can replace that bearing, or we can turn it from side to side and do comparative areas of wear. But the whole idea behind this test is to apply the lubricant as you would say to your gun in a, let's say a slide to frame situation. Well, we'll put some lubricant in between the bearing and the race. Now, I'm not going to drop this down on it, but I'm going to turn it on real quick to show you. You can see this rotational motion here on the shaft. And what we want to do is we're going to apply the lubricant there, start that up, and then set that down on here. And while it's running, we're going to pull down on the pound scale here, which in this fulcrum system, if you do the work formula, the force equals mass times the acceleration, you find that about every pound that we put on the scale here is equal to about 35 pounds here. You can argue 37.5 pounds, but we'll just call it 35 pounds to be safe. So every pound here, when there's 2 pounds, there's 70 pounds of point-to-point pressure. It's actually like cross cylinders. You have a cylinder that is in this retainer that basically goes this way, and you have a cylinder that goes that way, so it's a cross. So you actually have a point contact source. So it's not really a square inch or anything, so you can't really say this is pounds per square inch. It's actual point-to-point force. This machine is not designed to say what's good and what's bad. That's a matter of interpretation. What the machine is designed to do is to set a standard using, and what we're going to use here, we'll use the BreakFree CLP, which is the military standard today. This is what's used on most of the weaponry throughout our armed forces. And it is a CLP, cleaner lubricant preservative. We'll set the standard using this. See where the actual wear begins. You can hear audibly the metals start to become damaged, and we'll continue to apply slow pressure until a seizure occurs. And then we'll show you the bearing and you can examine it and see what it looks like. When we do that, I have another one, just a Hoppe's Elite Gun Oil. We can use that just to show you. And then we'll show you what a drop of Weapon Shield does on it. So, without any further ado, we'll take the BreakFree and we'll apply that in very liberally, as you can see. Make sure that we get it. Now we'll set it down and we'll apply some pressure. And we seized it right about 7 pounds. Let's try that again. Right about between 6 and 7 pounds. Now, let's see. That's about 250 pounds on point-to-point contact that we get here. So most people would say, well, that's not bad. And it isn't. It's not bad at all. It's okay. Try our Hoppies. The only thing I'm going to do here is just using a clean rag. I'm going to wipe this and the bearing surface off just to get the excess lubricant off. Drop that down. We'll take our Hoppe's Elite Gun Oil and we'll put that on there. Let's see if the Hoppe's does any better. As you can see, that actually, Hoppe's fails between 3 and 4 pounds, so Hoppe's is less. Like I said, we set a standard, then we use whatever we want to test on here to compare and see, is it better, is it worse? It's not saying that that's junk or this is junk or this is great or that's great, but in the end, you can judge which is the better lubricant. And that's what this is showing. This isn't really showing us anything to do with cleaning or preservation. This is showing the lubricating, anti-frictional properties, the extreme pressure properties, everything that keeps your gun running under the worst conditions of heat. And these are what we call varying parameters, you know, where your receivers actually on tight fit guns, the heat will cause them to change parameters. Your receiver and your fit on your slide to frame will become tighter if that gun gets really hot. So you need super protection to keep that thing moving and keep it running, and that's what Weapon Shield does. Now, here's what I want to show you. You can see the damage there that we did on the bearing and the race, but I'm going to keep that same enlarged surface area, and we're going to put Weapon Shield on that, and we're going to show you what a drop of Weapon Shield will do, even on that, just like we did with the Hoppe's. All I'm going to do once again is wipe this off so that we don't have any excess fluid on there. We'll take our Weapon Shield oiler pen. Well, there goes that. And we're going to put a drop on there. Exactly like we did with the other two. And now the same thing. We're going to slowly apply pressure. Now if you remember, there's where the Hoppe's fail. And let's see. There's where BreakFree failed, 7 pounds. Take it down. There's 10 pounds. There's 15. There's 20. We'll take it to the bottom. There's over 25 pounds of force there, and if you see our bearing, you see it smoking. That is the extreme pressure and the extreme conditions that it's under right now, putting that much pressure on it. So if you took and did the math, it would be around 1,800 pounds of point-to-point pressure, but it's actually more now because here's what's happened. We've increased the surface area. This has a harder rock well, so the metal from the bearing actually gets deposited on here, some of it. The rest of it just gets, you know, runs off in the oil, and you have metal flakes and particulates. But if you look at this closely, let me wipe it off. We'll get Mark to get a zoom in shot there. If you look at the metal surface, it's polished. It's actually, before it was burnished, it was galled very badly. The Weapon Shield actually reworked the surface and allowed it to roll out all the asperities and the imperfections. This is what makes Weapon Shield special. This is what gives us the right and the ability to say we are the best. Nothing beats Weapon Shield, period. I can guarantee you that of all the other lubricants out there, you could take virtually every one of them and run. Some will run better than others, but nothing will equal Weapon Shield. This is kind of a demonstration that it doesn't lie. What I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to send some test data out to Southwest Research, and we'll have them do the official Timken OK load test at Southwest, and we'll get it documented. But we've had that with FP10, with BreakFree, and we'll get it with Weapon Shield. So basically, that's it. Thanks, everybody.